Welcome back to Heart of Poland. Now, the subject of today's film has been described as a great heart in a small body. But the phrase that kept coming back to me when I thought about her and when I read about her was quite literally pocket rocket. Sue Ryder, or Baroness Ryder of Warsaw, as she would eventually become, was one of Poland's greatest friends during the long, dark years of communist oppression. Her incredible work in this country is, however, largely still unknown. So I've gone to go and speak to Barbara Stachowiak-Kowalska, who's a member of the Sue Ryder Foundation board, to find out more about her incredible story. Barbara, hello.
Hi, Paddy. Good to
Hello.
see you.
Thank you very much for welcoming me to this small museum, but I think it's very
Very
much
small,
the way that
yes.
Sue Ryder was small, it's also powerful.
Absolutely.
Shall we go
Yes,
inside?
please come in.
Thank you. Okay, so we're starting with Sue's childhood. I can
Yes.
see she's on a horseback. She was born into a wealthy family.
She was, yes. Both parents, they were landowners, 10 children. They had 2 homes, but this woman, her mother, really instilled in Sue the need to recognize this terrible gap between rich and poor. And she took Sue into the slums, which were neighboring their lovely home, and to show Sue how the other half lived. Not only did they go into the slums, but people who needed help were welcomed into their home. They were given food, they were given shelter, if necessary, a bed for the night.
Wow.
So from a really early age, she was so conscious of this divide between rich and poor.
And this is not typical for the time. I mean, there was a
isn't at
complete
all.
class divide from these people.
Yes.
If ever there was an example of how your parents can help you, really instill values in you and that live with you for the rest of your life, it's here with her mother.
Yes, it certainly is.
So we're going to have a look at her wartime experience. I can
Yep.
see there's a gas mask over there.
Okay. Sue Ryder, I'm sure, very rarely lied unless it was crucial for her work to be effective. So she was so upset at the beginning of the Second World War that she lied about her age to be able to join the war effort and to join the Special Operations Executive. Now, this meant that she was working with young Polish parachuters, helping them train, helping them, preparing them for those life-threatening missions. And in many cases, they didn't come back.
So the mission of the SOE was to, I think in Churchill's words, set Europe ablaze. And Poland, with the biggest underground resistance army, the Armia Krajowa, the Home Army, is one of the key constituent parts of this. And she's having to send these people one at a time on these secret missions. Presumably, she doesn't really know where they're going, they're not allowed to tell her, but they're forming a very close bond in these days and weeks before each trip.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, she's well known amongst Cichociemny, which is the Polish underground. Yes, she really was so inspired by their spirit and their resilience and their faith as well. That was, I think, something that really had a lasting impact on Sue Ryder.
So you could say that she kind of fell in love with Poland through the Poles, not having actually been yet, at least, to Poland.
Correct, yes. I mean, there is, rumour has it, from people who knew her, that she probably did fall in love with a Pole, but sadly they were not to be together because he didn't come back from one of his missions.
So she's sending these people away, and then in the case of possibly someone she fell in love with, they never actually find out what happens to them. So there's this sense
That's right, yes.
of loss.
Absolutely. I mean, she managed to meet with some of those who survived afterwards, but so many of the people that she formed close bonds with they were gone, and I think that was so inspirational in her life, the Polish spirit, that it stayed with her, and after the war she felt compelled to work with Poland for Poland, and that was the beginning of her work.
So maybe let's go around and find out what Sue was actually doing for Poland after the war ended.
Very good.
So Barbara, this is Cavendish House, this is the family house.
It is, yes.
Is it right that Sue Ryder actually brought quite a large group of former concentration camp survivors to that house?
Correct, yes. I mean, when she was looking for a headquarters for the foundation, and when she began this concept of building homes for those who were forgotten and former concentration camp victims, she decided, why not use the family home? So she and her family, she had 2 children, they moved into a tiny 2-bedroom flat beside the main family home, and she dedicated this to, I think there was something like 40 residents who had suffered during the war and obviously after the war as well.
And this is all at her own initiative, this isn't a government programme?
Absolutely, no. This was her idea. I mean, she was really the most amazing entrepreneur, philanthropist. She was everything combined. She was really Superwoman, yes? Because she managed to achieve so much with so little. This is straight after the war. Okay, her charitable work started in 1945. She formed the foundation, Sue Ryder Foundation, in 1953, built homes all over the world, predominantly in Europe, in the UK, and the second location which had the most homes was Poland.
So she's fallen in love with the idea of Poland, perhaps even a Polish soldier.
Yes.
I guess we'll never really know that story. And then she's coming to visit Poland, but during times of communism, and presumably the communists weren't all that keen in this Western person coming over and interfering with Poland. It must have been a considerable cost, a huge amount of effort for her to go and do this in a foreign country behind the Iron Curtain.
Yes, I mean, there are all sorts of stories about how she managed to somehow work with the authorities, but a lot of her work was actually underground as well. I've heard stories of her climbing out the window at 2 o'clock in the morning on not ground floor, to meet a priest because it was, clandestine meeting, and she didn't want the authorities to know. But really, a lot of the homes in Poland were built by her bringing prefabricated materials from the UK, building the homes. They cost, in the early days, only £5,000, but she had a whole army of volunteers or people who felt compelled to work with her in making a difference.
What do you think drove her, this energy? Was it the childhood that she'd had, the war experience she'd had, or was it all combined?
Yes,
or is it just hard to say?
A combination of everything. Obviously, during the war, she wasn't even 21 when the war finished. So those were very impressionable years. And I think she just felt this enormous duty to try to awaken, especially Britain, to the contribution that the Poles had made to the war effort. And as such, she devoted so much of her energy to Poland, to building homes for the forgotten, for the individual who, after the war, maybe they survived the war, but then their homes were destroyed, their families were gone, and they were damaged. Their spirit, their soul was often gone. And so she gave these people hope.
Is it true that she also learned Polish?
She did learn Polish. I think she was quite modest about it, but reports have it that her Polish wasn't bad. I've heard also about her singing Polish wartime songs and dancing some of the traditional Polish songs. Yes, so she was this amazing British aristocrat who didn't care about what one associates with aristocracy. She was really hands-on, very, very practical, and she managed to gather a whole army of people to help her realize her vision.
And she's still going strong, well into her later years of her life. What I've noticed with charities and charitable activities, they tend to sometimes sizzle out as the original initiator kind of gets to those later years. But the Sue Ryder Foundation is still going strong.
It certainly is, yes.
What does it look like in Poland?
Yes, in Poland, we exist to enlighten future generations about this amazing Polish patriot, British-born Polish patriot. She was very aware of the power of the individual and the importance of the individual. So she never underestimated what you and I can do to make a difference to the less fortunate. So today there are 16 Sue Ryder homes which were established, built by Sue Ryder, or they could be pavilions of hospitals. They have a variety of residents. Some of them are cancer patients, some of them are elderly, or just people who couldn't find their place in life. So these homes are state-run. She built them. She gave the keys to the authorities. But the homes are very well run, and the directors are very conscious of their founder, Sue Ryder. We bring the directors together once a year to share best practice. We help with some infrastructural work that the state is unable to fund. We have very limited resources, but the other very important aspect of our work, which funds the statutory obligations, are the Sue Ryder shops. We have 5 shops in Warsaw. These are second-hand shops. Some of the items are actually new, but we depend very much on people bringing good quality clothing, books, artifacts, ornaments, anything. We take it, we sell it, and the proceeds go towards helping those less fortunate.
It's really good. You think the scale of her energy, the length of her legacy, that this charity is still so active today. I'm also struggling to think of anyone that I've read about during the communist years who was so active in helping Polish people, not just abroad from London in opposition or anything like that, but actually on the ground, boots on the ground, doing anything like this.
I think she is absolutely unique. I mean, she is the most amazing role model for the youth of today, which is why this museum exists. We now have, the museum is very young, a couple of years. It's probably the smallest museum, certainly in Warsaw, if not in Poland. And it is here to educate the young, especially, to make people recognize, to make kids, society today, recognize that they can make a difference. It's very trendy, zero waste. She was one of the first, I think, to think about zero waste. She was an advocate of recycling, and really we need to broadcast what this amazing woman did for Poland, and hopefully her legacy continues with the work of the foundation.
It's incredible because having grown in the UK, I did know the name, but I didn't really understand how much she was doing, not just in the UK, but also in so many other countries. Yes. Would you agree with my description, pocket rocket? Would that be the right description?
Absolutely. She was tiny, but so effective, yes,
wow.
And had so much charisma, and she's an inspiration to us all.
Thank you very much for telling me about the story of this pocket rocket, probably one of Poland's best friends during the communist years.
Yes.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thanks.